Hi everybody, glad you could be with us for this trail. Before we get started, I wanted to show you a couple of interesting areas that you need to know about before you get up on the trail. The trail and the falls are located within Sequoia National Park, so you have to enter the park in order to get to them. The launching point is Lodgepole, which is a campground right about this little yellow turn right here on the road. But most importantly is this. When you first enter the park, you're at an elevation of around 1,500 feet, give or take, maybe 1,400 feet. And when you get to the trailhead, you're almost at 7,000 feet. I mentioned this because you need to take this road, which is called the General's Highway, better known as California Highway 198. And the point of my discussion here is to tell you about this road, which is the yellow, in yellow right here. It's a very winding road. It's a very steep road. And there are some restrictions by the Park Service. One of the restrictions is the size of the RV you can take up here if you're coming up in an RV. I believe it's 26 feet maximum. So you need to check with the Park Service before you start up the mountain or you decide to come up through the south end park entrance. But not a problem. If you have a larger RV, you can come up through the north entrance, which is this other, it's the same highway, 198, but it's a little further north. It's a better road, meaning it's not as steep. The vendors, construction equipment, suppliers, and tour buses, so forth, they come up this road. And I recommend that you check with the Park Service to get an idea of the size and so forth. So with that, I'm going to mention one more thing. These red lines. What are these red lines? These red lines are trails within Sequoia National Park. It has many trails. And some of these trails go all the way up to the High Sierras, up to 11,000 feet, up to the High Sierra Lakes, which are all over in here. We're going to concentrate on the Tokopah Trail, which is right here. So let me zoom in here and get you a better view. I apologize for my sometimes my fast mouse movements and video movements. When I show this to people and I talk about the trails and some of the adventures that we've had, I get very excited, and sometimes my mouse etiquette is not what it should be. So, having said all that, here is a pretty good view of Lodgepole and all of its facilities. Lodgepole is a visitor center. It's got a large complex right here, which is a building that is the visitor center, is maintained by the Park Service. You have rangers in there. You have people with loads of information. You can pick up maps, ask questions about the weather, about the local conditions. And most of all, you want to not forget to ask the question about bear alerts. Many bears in the area. The rangers will kind of tell you this when you come in there. There are signs all over the place. But find out what's going on, when was the last bear alert, bear attack, and they'll tell you. It's just one of those safety features that you have to be aware of when you're up in the high country. You have to kind of share all this with nature and all of its critters. So be aware of that. The other building right here is a store, and also a store that has, it's a building that has a store in it, has a small restaurant, has showers and other facilities that cater to the people that do extreme trails up into the High Sierras. They come in here for supplies, and then they use one of these trails as the launching point to go up into the high country. Over here you'll see this Twin Lakes Trail goes up quite a bit up into the high country. These white lines are roads, small roads within the campground, because Lodgepole is a campground area within the park. It's got about 265 campground spaces. Some of them are for RVs. I'll show you some of those right here. Big RVs parked right there. They came up through the north entrance. The smaller trailers are up here. You can see some of them there. And all the rest of these roads here is the tent area. It goes all the way up along the river, Kiowa River. Hopefully I said it correctly. I apologize to our Native American friends if I didn't say it. They're the ones that named it. It's a beautiful river, and it's just great views no matter where you're standing. If you're up here for the day, you park right along here, which is right along the river, and you have a small walk across the river to the trailhead. The trailhead is right underneath these trees, and you'll see a little bit of it shortly when I show you the video, but you can see the trail that we're going to be taking across there, and it goes 1.8 miles to Tokopah Falls. But before I do that, there's the trail right there. Before I do that, I wanted to bring you along to a very special place in this area, which is right there. You see that peak? Let me see if I can get a little bit better view of this. That peak, and I'll move the screen around so you can see it better. It's called Watchtower. It's around 9,000 foot altitude right there. If you ever take the Lakes Trail, which we have taken many times, you can walk. Let me see if I can give you a better view of that. There we go. You can walk from the trail onto the ledge, this ledge right there. Okay, and you can stand there and take a grand view of the valley, a grand view of the Sierra Nevada, and if you look down, is where the falls are. Now let me tell you a couple of things that you need to be aware of. Let me see if I can get a better view of this. If you so want to, there we go. When you stand here off this trail, you got to be aware of a couple of things. Aware of caution here. There are no handrails. This is solid granite. It's polished like the top of a marble table. It's been there for several million years, I suppose. So here's the thing. If it's been snowing, don't go out there. It's very slippery. If it's been raining, the same word of caution. If when you're on the trail, if it's windy, don't go out there. And above all, if you don't like heights, don't go there. Again, when you walk out here, and I've done it several times, and you look straight down, 9,000 feet, and down here is about 7,100 or so. So it's almost 2,000 foot straight down. It's a big rush, and it's a great view, but you have to be careful. You have to be very careful. It's called Watchtower. I don't know where the name came from, but that's what it's known of. Here's a trail, the Lakes Trail right here. I'll just move this over a little bit to show you a couple of things. The falls are right there, and you'll be coming up the trail to the end of the trail, and you'll be right down in there where this dark spot is. That's where it hits the ground down there. And the falls are fed by some of these mountain lakes, some of the Sierra lakes. Heather Lake, I've been there, Astor Lake, Emerald Lake, and Pear Lake. All of these waters combined, depending on how full they are, the waters get funneled into here, and then they just drop down this granite face from the top down to the bottom. It's a great view. We're here in late September, so you're going to see a lot of water, but not as much as you would see if you were in doing the high water area right after the snow melt starts. The river is just, rapids and so forth and so on. So that's a view of where we're going. glad you could make it. I'm very excited to take you along. We've been here many times. We'd like to share this with people, and we'll get going here shortly. You'll see the trailhead, and we'll move along the trail for a bit.
to Sequoia National Park, basically at a place called Lodgepole. A beautiful place. They got campgrounds for RVs, and they got campgrounds for camping, tent locations. It's a beautiful area. You just have to be here to realize it's about 60 degrees, late September, and it is just gorgeous. The smell of the air, just the view, and what can you say about this stuff? It's just nature at its best. So we're going to take a little walk around here, kind of introduce you to the facilities. There are many facilities, but there's a few things that are very outstanding. You see up ahead there the bridge, river coming down. Right now it's the end of September. There's not too much water, but during high water, that's incredible. There is a lot of white water coming down, very rush. And as you can see, those rocks over there, when the water comes down, it's just all white, and a lot of people hanging around. Right now is like I say, is the end of September, so a lot of kids are back in school, and there's nothing much to do. But it's very crowded in terms of towards the end of September. They have lots of campsites are occupied, lots of RVs here. They do have a minimum, by the way, so if you ever come, or if you want to take your RV and come up here, you gotta call and see if there's enough spots for RVing, or also check on the minimum, because there's a minimum size for RVs coming up the General's Highway from Visalia. You can get a bigger RV in here if you come up on the other side. There are two entrances to the park, and one of them it's not narrow, but it's very steep, and that's where some of the restrictions of the maximum vehicle size are in place. But there's another entrance on the north side of the park that where supply trucks and the different semis that supply the services for the area come up through, and that area you can bring a larger RV. But just check to see if there's a spot available for your RV. That's the main thing. I want to take you around and just show you that this is a national park, and we're at a place called Lodgepole. I think I mentioned that before. Lodgepole has a visitor center, it has a store, and it's got a post office. So it's got some nice facilities, and this is kind of the launching point for a lot of trails. I'm going to walk over towards the trailhead pretty quick across the bridge, and you'll see some of the signs and some of the trails that are available. This place is known for its trails. We've been coming up here for about over 25 years, and we've taken just about any number of trails that you can imagine. We're at a 7,000 or so foot altitude here, but some of the places that we've been have been trails that go up to and around 9,000 feet. There's camping available there. I have never stayed up there overnight. It's too cold, but it's a long day trip to go up there and come back. So I want to walk you around towards that bridge over there. We'll cross the bridge and go over to a couple of the trailheads, so you can have an idea of what it is that it's available. If you look right straight up the valley, up on top of that highest peak way back in the back, that's about 9,200 square feet, and that's a lookout point, meaning you can climb up there, or you can trail up there and actually walk right to the edge and look straight down a couple of thousand feet into the valley. It's a great view. You just have to plan very well on doing it, and take the right kind of equipment, the right kind of boots. Super hiking. It's extreme hiking, so you have to be prepared for that. And we have the equipment that is needed, and we enjoyed it a lot. I can't wait to come up here at least once a year for a week and do some trail. We even come up here in the wintertime, believe it or not, and snowshoe some of the trails that are available. We go on small tours that are conducted by the rangers. We do need to follow a ranger because during the winter months, you can get lost very easily. Everything is white. So the trails are basically non-existent. You have to know how to read the trail markers on the trees. And if you can do that, you can get back safely. But we like to take a ranger with us, a group of maybe 50 or 20 people. They have a lot of information about the area, the latest activities, and it's nice to have a tour guide. So we'll get over to the bridge here in a minute and take you across. Okay, here we go. This is the bridge at Lodgepole that takes you across the little river to the trailheads, and we're going to be walking over there. Here we are. You can see the wonderful view from here. Of course, I mentioned earlier, this is late September, so there's not much water, but during high water, this is full. Yep, White Rapids, beautiful place. And here's a trailhead. There are two trailheads here. We'll come up to the sign so you'll be able to see them a little bit better. But you have the Twin Lakes trailhead starts here and it goes up to the Twin Lakes area, and then the Tokopah Falls Trail is also right here, and it goes up 1.7 miles to the falls. And we're going to take you up there so you can see some of the scenery. But in the meantime, this is the beginning of it. We'll start our trip and come up this way. It's an incredible view. The only thing that's missing in being able to record with a video is the smell. The incredible smell of the air is just so powerful. I'm going to turn here a little bit so you can see across the way some of the campsites. There are about 250 or so campsites, and you can see some of them over there. Not many today. Today is middle of the week. Most people have already gone, but they're up there. And that includes RV campsites, so there's plenty of room. There are some restrictions, but you just have to kind of work around that and make sure of what you're towing if you want to bring your RV. If you want to bring your tent, that's also great. Look at this incredible trail through here. Pine trees. It's just amazing what you can see. It has just incredible beauty. The one thing about the national parks, at least this one here, is as you can see ahead of us there, the trees fall for any number of reasons, age, etc., etc. And the rule is you leave the tree where it fell. You only cut it if it's going to obstruct a trail. But you can see all sorts of trees, all sizes, that have fallen for different reasons, and they're just left there. They're part of the environment, they're part of the ecosystem, and you can small critters live inside of these trees. They hibernate, and that's their habitat. You can see if we walk over this way a little bit, if you look right through here, if we look right through there, you can see a tree that has fallen across the river, and it is just that's it. It just stays there. So nature. Here's an example of a tree that just fell, and they cut the tree to make sure the trail stayed open, but that's probably been there 30, 40 years, and eventually it will just totally disappear. In other parts of the park that I've been to, you could tell where a tree was totally consumed by nature and the critters and everything else. It just kind of decomposes into the ground. It takes years, maybe 20, 30, 50 years, but eventually you'll do it, and it just becomes part of the ground. That's the whole cycle. Notice in front of us, there is a tree there that is reddish. The trunk is a little reddish bark. That is one of the sequoias. It's not a giant sequoia like General Sherman, but it's one of the sequoias. The other ones are different kinds of pine trees and other species that are in the forest. But that's what you have. Incredible sight. You just have to be here to appreciate this, and any time of the year that you come up, it's always beautiful. But there you can have a better look at the campsites across the way. And if you hear some banging, that's the rangers are up there and the workers are building facilities, restrooms, and expanding the facilities. So you can see here how great it is. The view is remarkable. It takes about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes to walk the trail. It's a difficult trail. You have to have the right shoes because it's very rocky in some places and very narrow, but it's worth the walk. I've done it many times. We have been here many times. We've done it in the early morning and the late afternoon. It's always great. You'll see more up ahead when we get to the end. Give you a look at the falls. Actually, there's one fall, but it's massive. Not too much water this time of the year, like I mentioned, but it is beautiful. And as you walk, the river is on your right, and all that granite over there is on your left. So you have quite a selection of scenery. There's a small pool created by the river.
I got some great footage on the trail, but before we get to the falls, there are a few amazing photos of the trail with my wife Carol and our good friend Terry. Be on the lookout for Watchtower, and you may want to turn your volume down. The falls are very loud. I leave you to enjoy the sounds of the river. It was great having you along. If you liked the video, give it a thumb up. And do not forget to view the credits at the end.